Cheers, people. It's Sunday, the 10th of December, and here I am.
Connecting people to ideas.
We'll talk in a while in more detail about it.
Part of my routine is checking the news and the radio. On Sunday mornings, I check to see who's the guest on the Stuart Chittenden show on local public radio. I was a guest on his show last year, and he liked it so much that they did a repeat of it recently. They played the show again recently. How you folks doing? A few things to share today. I hope I don't forget some updates about what I'll be doing. But I'll start the video by sharing that I had a wonderful call with my friend Everett. He's a friend who I've reconnected with that goes back to my childhood. We met at an all-boys high school, Creighton Prep here in Omaha. And Everett is a English professor and Black Studies professor. A brilliant man and just a good person. I'm so glad that he and I have reconnected, and I'm so glad to have such good people in my life. Our conversation, Everett touched my heart last night as we touched it, brought tears to my eyes. He's just a really, really decent human being. Thank you, Everett, for being in my life. Thank you so much. We talked about music, because there's so much music that I don't have on vinyl or even on CD that I'm aware of and listen to, but I never mention it. And so, like for example, he asked me, did I know about Mono Neon? Yeah, I know Mono Neon and some of his circle of people. It's just like it's on the radar. It's like he's someone I'm going to be meeting or getting together with. That's a strange thing to say, but it's on my radar. Mono Neon. Great player. Yes, we talked about several things, and one thing I want to bring up is how I do speak my mind honestly. I talk about current events. I talk about politics and racism in particular, and I appreciate that Everett is not the only person to say this to me recently. A white friend of mine said this to me recently in a conversation. He said it's like we're still in the Civil War. What politics and the whole thing with Republicans has brought up to the surface is that racism really has never died. White privilege definitely hasn't died, and these people want it to go back to the old ways. Back to the Gone with the Wind days, those were bad old days for a lot of us. So I'm going to continue to speak out, and very, very pointedly will continue to speak out against that political madness and the danger of having that psychopath Trump back in office. Totally unqualified, totally about just wanting the power and wanting to be a dictator and just having that all powerful, and the first thing he wants to do is get back at his enemies. There's nothing presidential about that, or nothing. There's nothing in that statement regarding the welfare of the nation. Hello? And I bring it up because Everett said it well. We are dealing with a lot of apathy and a lot of people who are just tired and just want to, they just want to tune it out. And so we could by default end up with that Cracker Barrel, I just cannot stand Donald Trump, the kind of person he is. As a human being, I love him. But what he manifests, I hate. And he was horrible the first time. It just blows my mind that we're looking at people trying to put him back in the office of the president for no good reason at all. And I'll speak out against it as much as I feel the need to. It's important. And it affects the entire planet. It does. So I can show a few records, but I want to do a couple of updates, okay? And one of the updates I want to do is, folks, get this. It's Christmas time. It's my latest CD, Interlude. Get that. Buy a copy. Send it off for a gift. Only $10 plus postage. Get a copy. What do I have? Okay, so tonight at 8 o'clock, I'll be going over to Big Al Hatfield's place to do a live podcast with him. Al is a local character. He is a musician, but he's also a personal trainer, bodybuilder, and he does things. I don't know Al well, but I like him and respect him. I've played for him in the past when he's done food drives for the food banks. He'll have shows, and I've volunteered, and I think a couple times I volunteered, but he paid me anyway, and it's like, but anyway, that's 8 o'clock tonight. It'll be live on Facebook. Obviously, it'll be archived so you can see if you don't catch it tonight. I'll leave the link to Al's page on Facebook here. That's going on, and I've accepted. I'm going to do a gig. I have 2 gigs now for next year, so I kind of am thinking I'm going to do a little. The idea is, I only played twice this year that I can remember. I only stepped on stage 2 times, and a few years ago I played every week somewhere. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to play some shows. So the first one I mentioned to you is that the David Nance Mode Sound record release party is happening in February 16th at the Reverb. I'll be playing that. Well, I saw online yesterday on Facebook, and I'm going to try to look it up right quick, that there's going to be a fundraising concert for Vicky Groove Vic Fletcher. She's a local character, not a musician, just a local person she's like a hippie, just a good woman. And I forget what happened to Fletch, but she's been wheelchair bound for a long time. And I don't think it's her husband. I think it's just her partner in life. We call him Fletch. They're together, and they've been through it, really openly. They've been together, and they've split up, then they always come back together. Neat couple. Anyway, January 20th is going to be what they're calling Fletch Fest, a day of music to support Vic and Fletch. She, being wheelchair bound and getting older, those medical expenses that just increase. So this is to raise money to help that. And I called her last night and said, "Hey Vic, I'd be happy to play." She cried. I said, "Yeah, I love you, So, excuse me, I'm going to play January 20th at the Down Under here in Omaha for Fletch Fest. I'm going to play at 5. And there's a bunch of bands playing. When I saw the lineup, and I saw, most of the bands are friends or people that I know, and then because of my regard for Vicky in particular, Fletch is cool. I said, I'll do this. This is a voluntary. I'm not getting paid. I don't want any money. I want to show some support to them. So I'm starting the year with a gig a month. One in January already and one in February, and we'll take it from there. I was very happy to offer my services to Vicky and Fletch. There's more, but I'm forgetting it already. I hope it comes back. Okay, I'm already forgetting something. So Music. Oh, okay, I will talk about it. The new Peter Gabriel album is bloody fantastic. It is definitely one of my albums of the year, like 1, 2, 3, Lorraine, probably at this point, Peter Gabriel, and number 3, Slow Dive at this point. I listened to this intensely last night, and I like the Dark Side mixes better overall, although I listened to Bright Side last night. I started to notice the little things, and I like the Dark Side. This album is brilliant. Playing for Time is a heart song, and it's Peter talking about getting older, and very profoundly. It's beautiful. This album is awesome. Awesome. Live and Let Live. Love Can Heal. You know, The Court. Playing for Time. These are wonderful songs. And I'm really happy for him that he got to number 1 in England, in his home country. Go Pete. First time since the album So. I'm happy for him. It's a fantastic album. Excuse me. Showed this recently because I bought this used recently, but it's new and now there's a remix out of it. The Love Invention. There's a Love Reinvention album out, or maybe it's an EP. I played this last night. I really like this. It's pop music, but love the production on it. I also like how when I do my music, I'm always trying to switch up the palette. I'm always trying to find a way to find newer sounds or not repeat. So it was really kind of refreshing to hear that on this album, they've chosen a primary palette, like when you play guitar, bass, and drums and keyboards. They've chosen a primary palette of electronic sounds that they use throughout the album, and it works. You don't get tired of the sounds. Matter of fact, it's pleasing. The settings, the patches that they use. I like this. So I love this, and I love her. I love her voice. It's very sensual. Sounds like the woman, sounds like the woman is like I love her, but it's like, sounds like she's ready to fuck right now, all the time. That's what it sounds like to me. I put them away, but we were talking about music last night, and did I put them away? No, here they are. So, among other things, we got to talking a little bit about music. Everett, if you see this, I love you, my man. So glad we've reconnected. He didn't know my dad had committed suicide, so we had to talk about that. I told him the story. When I shared it here, if you guys remember, or if you saw me when I shared it in the video a few videos ago, in that moment I had to decide, am I going to share this? Because it's heavy. It is. When we talked about it, that didn't make me cry. Everett, my love for Everett and his words, that's what brought tears to my eyes, the love that I feel for this man. But he asked me about some other stuff, and he asked me, well, do you still have, or do you by chance have, so he mentioned Manfred Mann. Chapter 3, we dug that together. But back then, I couldn't afford it, but we knew about Tonto's expanding Headband. I didn't have the record. Someone we knew had it. Maybe he did. He asked me, do you remember Tonto? I said, I got it right here. Paul pulled it, put a big smile on our faces. Tonto's expanding Headband. Again, a direct connection to Stevie Wonder and Hank Red, who I'm working with. And I'm going to answer that question. That's the thing I don't want to forget. Someone asked a question on my last video. They said, that's worth answering. Not the one about Pharoah Sanders. If you want to ask me a question about a record, but you can't really remember the title of it, I'm not going to spend time trying to, well, what is that? Tell me the title. Anyway, Malcolm Cecil and Robert Margolith are the people who introduced Stevie Wonder to the synthesizer. And, Stevie Wonder made that album, The Secret Life of Plants, that's almost all synthesizer, and it's pretty much solo. One of the only other musicians on the album is my friend Hank Red. I haven't had a chance to ask Hank about that yet. That's something that's on. And then also, I noticed that Dorothy Ashby, the legendary black jazz harp player, is on Songs in the Key of Life. I hadn't noticed that before. So I intend to try to remember to ask Hank if he was around for that session, if he met with Dorothy Ashby. But I actually went ahead and played this last night, and it's very dated sounding. This is the beginning of synthesizers and what you can do with them. That's their modular setup. Very unique. Very unique. So in that sense, I had to just adjust myself and say, let me just experience this. So it starts off kind of lighthearted and gets better as it goes. And I also have their first album, Zero Time. I prefer the original cover to this. I didn't play this, but I showed it. Tonto's Expanding Headband. So along those lines, while I was listening to it, it made me think of Wavemaker, another primarily synthesizer-based album. And this is, folks, I think related to the BBC. It's an Electrophon production. Brian Hodgson, Wavemaker, Where Are We, Captain? Now this is mostly really good, except the drums. The drums are a mess. The drums are a mess. There are parts where the drums completely lose syncopation with, and I can just hear that it's probably them, playing the drums like this on a keyboard. These are early days of this stuff. They obviously did not have sequencing because the drums are out of sync a lot. And I'm really actually not surprised, but it's like they have a percussionist on here, John Kellyhor, and a timpani player. And I'm sorry, people. I'm not sorry. I'm telling you the truth. If you actually listen to this record, you'll hear where there are several places where the rhythm falls apart, but they keep going. That's the only drawback to this. The synthesizer playing and timbres and settings are really nice, and the compositions are nice. I like that cover too, Wavemaker. I love old stuff like this. The other thing that I played all the way through last night that I recently bought, so I'm talking about it again, is Horse Lords. Fantastic. Comradely Objects. This is excellent. This is excellent. You call it whatever you want. It's just excellent. The use of, like I said, polyrhythm, but it's not just that, because they do these long tone things on here. This is just right up my alley. Very, very good. What else we got here? So this is sitting out. Italian progressive rock from the late 70s, early 80s is what we have here. Oh, no. It's 1973. Pardon me. Well, to me, this sounds really good. It doesn't sound dated. That's why it's hard. I thought maybe it might be 80s. Campo Di Marte. Campo Di Marte, however you say it. Their one and only album. This came out on United Artists. United Artists, they put out Can and Hawkwind and all kinds of stuff, all the way to, middle of the road stuff, all the way to some of the most far out stuff. United Artists was a very interesting label. So this is not an original. I've never seen it on United Artists. That would be cool to have one, but this is there's minimal vocals. There's a touch of folk melody in some of this, but it's that progressive rock thing where they just keep the compositions moving, and the playing and the variety. I love stuff like this. Strange cover. I love stuff like that. Do I have anything else down here I haven't shown? Because I try to keep the stack from getting too big down here. That's everything I've shown. So we'll keep it like that. I'm going to repeat myself though. I really want to ask very upfront and pointedly for sales of my latest works, Interlude and Woven Territories. Get them for Christmas presents. Get them for Hanukkah. Get one just to help me stay online, you know. I wish I could remember. I have these thoughts that just flit through my mind throughout the day, things I'd love to share, you know. Oh, okay, that's it. Oh, so let me get this done, okay? I'm glad. So I'm going to the comments, and someone asked, and I thought this was a good question. I love hearing from people all over the world. I see you from Brazil. Someone from Malaysia not too long ago. So let me see. Okay. Okay. Well, the person asked me, let me see if oh, here it is. Okay. Question from R. Disgene. Obviously, you don't have to answer, but do you have any tips regarding performing with less anxiety in front of or with musicians you admire? I do. I do have an answer for you because this is something that I've experienced and had to work through. So early on, playing a musician, I would have opportunities to meet and play with people, you know, of prominence or notoriety. And the first few times there was a bit of stage struckness or like, I can't believe I'm doing this, you know. But let me see if I could just find it right quick to make, because I learned this from someone who's not a big name. Just give me a second. Pardon me, folks. I want to show the record, okay? Come on. Isn't it right here? Isn't it right here? Oh, for heaven's sake. Okay, so I don't know where the record is, but I played with this percussionist. I'm not getting his name right now. Hold on now. This is kind of like, wait a minute. Nakatani. Here we go. Okay, so maybe you've heard of the percussionist Tatsuya Nakatani. He travels all over the world with his cymbals and gongs, mainly gongs, gong orchestra. I got to perform it with him because what he does is he does these solo improvisation concerts of percussion, and then he does the gong orchestra thing, and he will have the workshop the day of it and invite people out of the audience who are going to come and learn how to play the gongs with him. So I did this one time several years ago, and I was basically a little bit in awe of Mr. Nakatani. You know, he's an intense guy. I like him. So I really wanted to do well. So while we're rehearsing, you know, at the beginning of learning this technique, when I would mess up, I'd go, "Ooh," you know, and he got frustrated with me, and he came over to me and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop." He's just stop. He was real blunt, and so I'm going to use this one and then roll it over into my own thoughts. He said, "What are you doing?" And he just, you know, I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing. He grounded me. He said, "Get out of your head. What are you doing? Why are you here? You're here to play the gong. What are you thinking? Where's your head? When you do this, how can you play the gong when you're caught up in your thoughts in your head about, ooh, I messed up?" What you need to do is stay attentive to what you're doing and do that so that you can do it. And so I thought it was brilliant the way he put it to me, because he said, okay, this is not about me. That's the deal about music. See, we love music. We love to express ourselves through it, but music and art are the most intense when it is not necessarily about us. It's an expression of us, but we're not pointing me like that. We're letting it pour out through us. So when you have an opportunity to play with other musicians that you admire, like, or in awe of, well, for heaven's sake, there you are. You have been invited into their realm, so now you're part of it. Why are you there? You're there to play, not to gawk and geek it. Oh, I'm so-and-so. You're there to get down, get to it. I can't remember all the people I played with. I've jammed with a lot of different people. Soul Asylum. I got to play drums. I actually only played for a short bit. Then I got off the drums and turned the sticks over to our younger kid that I know, Bill, because I could see him. And I thought to myself, this means more to him. But that was fun, because the little bit that I played, I made Dave Perner turn around, and they were all pretty drunk, but I can play drums. Made him turn around. Michael Bland from Prince's band is with Soul Asylum now on drums. Who else? See, it's hard, when, so I've jumped on stage with some people, and gotten down. And you let the music come through you, get out of your head. That's why I say the things I say about psychology. We live in the mind, People are just people. Playing with the Chameleons, Mark Burgess, when I first played with him in the early 2000s, that was a big deal. And I did have to, come down off the clouds, because his music means a lot to me. But to get to play with him a second time, I was up for it. Shit, I'm one of you. That's how I feel. You're my peer. That's why I'm up here, because I deserve to be up here. I'm like you. So take it and go like that, okay? If you get the chance to play, well, it's because you're worth it. Take people off their pedestals. When I was very young, Peter Gabriel was on a pedestal, and I learned the hard way you don't do that. People will disappoint you. If anyone is watching me doing that to me, you need to stop. I'm just a human being. I got issues. I got problems. I'm just jacked as the next person, okay? I said it to Everett last night. It's part of my if you can use this word, because I was going to be a priest or a minister, and I'm glad that I went through that to learn that it's not religion that is important to me. It is clarity about what I see and sharing that. This is my personal part of my personal ministry to be like this. I could be different. I could be very selfish and manipulate and use people. I could. I've done it. Doesn't feel good, so I won't do it. And that's why I speak out against politicians. Both sides. The two-party system is horrid. We have the people who appear to be warmongers. They just happen to. They're just addicted to that military cash. And then the other folks they just want what they want. They just want white power. That's really what I see with the Republican Party. They just want white power. That shit's fucked. That's not good. That's not a good ministry. That's not a good message. That's bad. I'll always speak up about it. Always. And it's a half hour. That's the last thing I'm going to say. Well, today that's what it is. Take care.